What? Wait a second. Wait, that's a public link? No.
And that's your face when you find out that Google has 155 gigs of data just about you stored on their servers on publicly accessible URLs, including every purchase you've ever made on Amazon, every purchase you've ever made on eBay, every picture you've taken on your phone, whether you stored it on cloud or not, every video you've ever taken on your phone, all your web search history, all your location data, all your voice search data. You see where I'm getting at? Remember, guys, you are the product. You are who they are selling to, and you are what is being sold. Hey guys, John from Dragonfly here. So today I want to talk about a video that I've been wanting to make for a long time. I noticed a lot of new subscribers on the channel in the last week, and I'm pretty sure I know where they came from. A guy with a channel called The Hated One made a video about the Intel Management Engine, and I had also made a companion video to that, and I think it picked up some traffic, which is great. So I want to link to another one of his videos in this video, and it's a video that I've been wanting to make for a long time about online privacy in 2019, and sort of what's the net effect of everything going on with social media and, you know, Project Prism and all the rest of it. And, you know, kind of where are we at in 2019, and how can you sort of take control of this information back? So I've made this video 5 or 6 times now, and I've scrapped them all because there's just so much to get through. And every time I make it, I find that I left something really important out, or I made a mistake, or whatever it might be. So please bear with me. I wish I could make it a little bit more exciting with graphics, and I just don't have the editing ability yet to do stuff like that. But I'm going to try my best to keep it exciting. So who am I to talk about this stuff? I'm not an expert. I'm not a CISSP. I don't work in the information security field. I'm just a guy. You know, I've been on the internet since, you know, name names, dial-up modems, Alta Vista, Napster, you know, you name it. All of the, you know, the beginning of social media, MySpace, you know, all, you know, pre-smartphone, all the rest of it, all the way through what we see today, where the information is very tightly controlled. You know, you have people, you have all kinds of information censorship. You have laws being passed that's creating more of an environment for that. And then in addition to that, the freedom of information that we used to have just isn't there anymore. But it's more a question of how much you're being tracked today, and how much you as a commodity are being sold. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people just don't quite have the awareness of. So for me, I've worked in this industry for 10 years. I have a degree in computer information systems. I have a master's certificate in PC and network design with security. I have a Microsoft MCSA and MCP. I have a CompTIA A+, Network Plus, and Security Plus. I had the CCNA for 3 years. It's expired now, but I passed the test. Since then, I got certified in Google Analytics and Google AdWords. I've taken courses on email marketing, Facebook marketing, and I also build websites for customers. So I have a good amount of understanding of how the different elements play together. I'm also someone that in my spare time has spent a lot of time looking into just how much just kind of the things happening on the periphery, the things like, you know, the NSA listening centers and AT&T Internet Backbone centers, which is something I'm going to get into later, Project Prism, all these other things that are happening kind of on the periphery that, you know, people, you can't keep track of all this. I mean, people are busy living their lives. You know, you can't keep track of all of this stuff. So as a precursor to this video, I'm going to link to 3 other videos. One of them is the video I started with, which is a guy, a YouTuber, who just made a video this week where he downloaded his social media and he realized how much of his information is being stored. Now, a lot of us know that that's been going on for a long time, and a lot of us don't. So that's why I want people to see it. Then I'm going to link to kind of an interesting, you know, something that I think is interesting. You have YouTube that's run by a former Google executive. who is now the CEO of YouTube, and her sister founded and runs 23andMe, which is a company that collects your genetic information, your most unique identifier, charges you for the privilege, and then sells that information off to third-party companies in a manner very similar to how social media does. So I think that's an interesting connection, and I'm linking to a video about that. And then thirdly is another video by the Hated One, where he goes on to talk about how you can, I wouldn't say browse the web anonymously, but how you can cut your internet footprint down from, let's say most of us are like a tank driving through a cornfield with how much of our information we give out and how little we protect. Where you can let's say cut that footprint down from a tank through a cornfield into more like a mouse through a cornfield. So the technical aspects, he made a great video. It's about 25 minutes long, and I went through it. I've been through it 5 or 6 times already. And I even picked up, I was doing some of the things, but I even picked up a few pointers from it. But the thing about it is that it moves very fast, and it gets a little technical. So I wanted to make a companion video to it where I talk about some of the more technical aspects of regaining some control over your internet privacy. So that's going to probably be part 2 of this video. Part 1 was to just sort of give people a snapshot of 2019 in terms of how, you as a commodity are just being sold, your information's being sold, you're being marketed to, people are just giving away the farm. That's one thing that I wanted to bring up. But then the other thing is how do we combat that? How do we sort of take a little bit of that back? So that's going to be part 2. So let's just start with the concept that everything that you do is tracked. Now, we all knew that, right? But here's how it works in the background. You buy a Google phone. You sign into your Google phone with your Gmail account, because that's how you have to download apps from the Google Play Store. You use the voice assistant on your Google phone. Then you make it to your house. You have your computer, your laptop. You're signed into that same Gmail account. And everything you do, every Google search you do, every YouTube video you watch, not only are, every YouTube video that you've ever watched, every YouTube search you've ever put in, every Google search you've ever done, all your location data of everywhere you've ever been, all your voice commands, your purchase history, even at other sites that are not Google related, all these things, as we see in the first video I linked to in this video, are all being tracked. Now, what they do is they attach an advertising ID to you, and you're just, it's advertising ID X, and they're going to sell that data to another company and say, hey, right here we've got this 35-year-old guy. He's this political persuasion. He's into this, and this. Boom, and then that's how they're going to personalize those ads to you, because they're selling your data to other third-party companies that are interested, and they plug those metrics in, and then boom, their ads are starting to show up for you on your phone. But at the same time, it's just like, well, what else is happening with this data? Now, Microsoft does the exact same thing. Remember, now, this is a company that doesn't give away anything for free. Something you may not know in the corporate enterprise world is when a company purchases an email server or even a file server, they have to buy an individual license for every single person in the company. So if let's say you have a 1,300 person company and they install 4 email servers, two in one country and 2 in another, and then in addition to that they have file servers and data centers in 16 different countries, they have to buy a file server license and an email access license for every single user that's going to be accessing those servers in the company. They spend they sell so much training every time they release a new version of the operating system or a new version of the server operating system. They make so much money on training. This is a company that doesn't give away anything for free, and yet here they were giving away Windows 10 for free for a year and aggressively upgrading people. Do you remember that when your Windows 7 or your Windows 8 machine was force upgraded to Windows 10 and a lot of people shut it off halfway through? I mean, I fixed so many computers because of that. Because people didn't want Windows 10 and they just didn't even realize they were being force upgraded, and they like I said, they shut it off halfway through. So here I was running around reinstalling Windows 7 or knocking machines back to default because of all of the mayhem that went along with that. Now, why would they so aggressively give away something, that they make a lot of money on for free? A company that, again, doesn't give away anything for free, notorious for that. And then at the same time, try to force all of the machines in their ecosystem to the same level. And then you notice, remember, we got a new operating system every 3 years, I think it was. There was XP in 2002. I think, and then was it Vista 2005? Windows 7 was 2009. 2008 or 2009, then Windows 8 was 2012, and then Windows 10 was 2014, 2015. I'm sorry if I get the dates a little wrong, but you get where I'm going. Notice how there's no Windows 11, there's no Windows 12. We're still on Windows 10, and there's no, as far as I know, there's been no announcement. There's just new versions of it. And every time they, it's like reinstalling the operating system. Now I'm rambling here, but what I'm getting at is this. Windows 10, what's the first thing it tries to do? It tries to get you to link to a Microsoft account. Just as when you get an iPhone, you have to sign in with an iTunes account. Now, luckily, if you know what you're doing in Windows 10, you can still create a local account. So a little trick here is when you install Windows 10, when you get to the point where it asks you to sign in with a Microsoft account, you can say not now, and then it asks you again. It really tries to push you to sign in with a Microsoft account. You hit not now, and then you can create a local user account. That's what I do on all my machines. I never obviously link them to Microsoft accounts. Now there's so much more after that you have to do to even remotely lock down that operating system, and even at best, it's not remotely secure at all. But they're doing the same thing where they're attaching a advertising ID to you. And again, everything you do, they try to lock you into Bing News and Bing Search, all their Microsoft. That's why as soon as you hit that start menu, people don't even use the start menu anymore. That's kind of the funny thing about it is they took away the start menu in Windows 8. That was a disaster. They brought it back in Windows 10, but now it's got so much advertising in it that people just don't even use it anymore. So I find that with clients, they just pin all their stuff on the taskbar, or they recreate desktop icons, and they never use the start bar because they're overwhelmed by all of the flashy, they don't want Candy Crush. They don't want to pay for solitaire, all these different things, they don't want Bing News. But yet here it is just yelling at them, oh, use me, right? So what I'm getting at is they all have their different ways of doing it. But at the end of the day, it's all the same, it's all the same thing. So how do you fight back for all intents and purposes? Well, there are things that you can do, and that's what that video that I'm linking to with the hated one. He made a great video about how to surf the web and really cut down, your which cookies you accept and what amount of code that you'll run in a browser. And the biggest thing is getting out of those ecosystems. So not having a Gmail account, not having a Hotmail or an Outlook.com account. If you're going to use Apple, you have to have, an Apple ID, but actually it doesn't have to be an iCloud account. So all of these different things. So the first step is getting out of the ecosystems. So creating an email address somewhere else that isn't part of those. And there's all kinds of providers like Proton Mail and I think it's called Tutanota, and then there's MailFence, and there's a whole bunch of other independent mail providers. They'll give you a little bit of storage for free, or you can pay. But the main thing is that they're not run by let's say like the big four or whatever. They're not Apple, they're not Microsoft, they're not Google, and they're not whoever the last one is that's escaping me, Facebook. So that's the first thing. It's getting out of that ecosystem, but then also creating separate identities for your work persona, your social media persona, and your web browsing habits persona. And those are all going to be separate. They're going to be linked to separate emails. You're going to browse them in separate browsers, or you're going to make multiple profiles in the same browser, and you're really going to lock down how the browsers interact. It's amazing. Once you start getting deep into these browser settings, you realize that sites are tracking you to the point where they track if you copy and paste text on the website. They track, geolocation data. They track, every little behavior that you make on a site is being tracked, and it's all being, used to, again, sell data about you and sell things to you. So in another video, I'm going to kind of deconstruct that the Hated Ones video there, where I'm going to talk about how to implement some of those things, because like I said, he went through it really fast and it's a little technical, so we're going to slow it down a little bit and talk about the theory behind what he's trying to accomplish, or what he's trying to get you to be able to accomplish. In addition to that, we're gonna further talk about how you can sort of mask your web browsing habits using, either Tor or VPN or whatever, to just really cut that data flow off, and if whether or not social media still makes sense, depending on how much you value your own privacy. I've gotten rid of all my social media. The only thing I have left now is my YouTube account, and I do still have LinkedIn as well, but I don't really use it. I'm kind of using it to try and raise awareness for people to decide if they still want to be part of that game anymore. There was a time when social media was a new concept, back again in the days of Friendster and MySpace and some of the other startups that came and went, pre-Facebook and even early Facebook, where it was, or it seemed like it was, just about connecting with friends and family. And now, what we've learned is that your ability to use it to connect with friends and family is way far down the list on the priorities. And really the number one priority is collecting your information. Priority number 2 is selling your information. And priority number 3 is selling things to you. And the other sort of the social aspect of it is much further down the list. So you don't see a lot of people talking about this stuff because a lot of people monetize their channels, so they depend on the income they make from these videos to live. I don't. So that's one of the things that allows me to, let's say, be a little bit more objective about this stuff. But at the same time, I don't have all the answers. So I'm going to try real hard to make an interesting video where we talk about some of this stuff, but just be aware, like, there's so many moving parts here, and it's really easy to miss something and leave something out, and at the same time, it's also easy to make a mistake. So bear with me. I'm going to make a part 2 of this where we're going to talk about creating those personas, those separate containers, compartments, whatever you want to call them, and just getting a little bit of privacy back in your life.